former President Trump now has a date for the start of his trial over alleged mishandling of classified documents. And that date, May 20th, 2024. Yeah, in the middle of an election year. It's a compromise of sorts. The Justice Department wanted the trial to start in December of this year, while Trump's legal team pushed for a trial after the 2024 election. Okay. Bob, let's start with you. What do we make of this? I mean, the president has a lot of legal days coming up, but this is perhaps the biggest one.
That's right, and that's going to be right before the convention. So obviously, Trump is the favorite to win. I mean, listen, we've never seen an election like this, especially when you bring in these trials. And remember, a third indictment's happening next week, and that's one that I think Trump, and we have some polling data that we're going to be reporting on, has to worry about.
That's right, and it's before the conventions. But it's after many of the primaries, you guys, and it appears as though, usually is the case, the nominee will be decided by the time this trial starts, Bill.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to remember is that in 2016, when it was Cruz v. Trump, May was a decisive month to determine who was going to go into the convention.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
With the most delegates bound to them. So I think this trial date comes at what could be a critical time if we end up in a long slog primary on the Republican side.
All right, and Scott, before we get to you, I want to go through this legal calendar here because May 20th is not the only, 2024 is not the only date. We got October 2nd coming up. The Trump Organization, the civil fraud trial, January 15th of next year. The E. Jean Carroll civil defamation trial, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same day as the Iowa caucuses, January 15th. January 29th, the Trump pyramid scheme, so-called class action trial. March 25th, a hush money criminal trial. May 20th, a classified documents criminal trial. And then we've got grand juries heading, meeting down the street at the federal court here, and the Georgia grand jury on interference and election interference. So a lot on the docket, so to speak.
Well, Donald Trump's going to be busy with the criminal justice system, and he's running for president. He's going to have to pick one over the other. Of all of these dates, the civil trials don't really matter, won't affect him, because the civil trials, he doesn't have to appear. Watch that March 25th date. That judge in New York at the state court level's got the power to push, and he's going to push and try to get this out of the way, because if he doesn't do that, then he's going to be bumping up into the May 20th trial date. I think the federal judge, despite Trump's appointment of her, she's going to make that date stick. It wasn't really a compromise. No one, criminal justice system doesn't care about the presidential race. They care about the business in front of them. And so if he gets indicted a third time and a fourth time, watch two things. One, all these lawyers are representing Trump, and if they bump into each other, they may have to get different counsel because the courts don't really care about that. And secondly, when do these two indictments, when does he have to appear in court and so forth and so on? It's going to get really jumbled on the criminal justice system. And then there's the campaign.
Bill, is it actually fair for the Republican voters to have to wait to hear any of these trials? I know that the Trump administration, the Trump attorneys are pushing to push it back because they say preparation, but what's fair to the Republican primary voters?
Well, the thing about Trump is that there's nothing really to hide. I mean, everything that happens with him seems to spill out on the front pages of all the newspapers. So it's not like the voters are being denied information. For example, we haven't heard one thing about the Biden classified document investigation, where almost every day we've heard something about Trump.
We're going to hear about it a little bit later, Bill. Don't worry about it.
That's good. Like, I'm looking forward to that. But I think the other thing to remember is that, you know, there's a long DOJ policy that you don't bring things that interfere with elections.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't understand is that under the FEC rules, the National Convention is the primary election. So we've scheduled a trial that could bump right up against that 60 days.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.